Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Statera podcast, episode 11. My name is Ross, and this is Adrian, of course. Welcome. So, I think, Adrian, today, we're going to be talking about, amongst other things, ayahuasca, that wonderful substance, and your imminent trip overseas, which is literally within a few hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me, again, there's a bit of deja vu here, but without going into the whole itinerary, I'm
Sure.
deeply interested actually with how you're getting there. Obviously, you're going to be flying. Your stops, when your first journey is, and I guess that'll be a good starting point.
Yeah, sure, Ross. So I'm flying to Sydney tomorrow morning, and then have a night stop over there, and then the next morning, Wednesday morning, I'm flying out to South America. So ending up in Iquitos, which is a village city or town. It's I think there's over 100,000 people there. But flying to Santiago first, up to Lima, which is the capital city of Peru, and then a couple of hours into Iquitos after that. I'm there for a couple of days, and then we'll be heading out to the retreat, which is in the jungle of the Amazon there, and I'll be there spending the next 10 days there.
Yeah. I was envisaging, I think we spoke about this before, I was envisaging some kind of Cessna coming in and a little dirt airstrip.
Which would be cool too, but I think to get out there, I think we might get out there by boat. I think to actually get out to the retreat, maybe we get out there by. Actually, no, we don't. Thinking about the podcast, Nick Gabriel's podcast, there's like those bike carrier things, So
cool.
then we get out in there. But so we'll be undertaking 5 ayahuasca ceremonies in 10 days. And going from there.
I remember, you and I have spoken about this before, about how this came about. And, we can be mistaken for thinking that this is just too hard to do. I mean, I've done that. I thought this is too hard for me to do, doubted myself or what have you, too much planning, blah, blah, blah. And, but before you do it, before you know, you've really just got to make a decision to go.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of a story in that too, isn't there? I mean, making the choice to go can only be given if the choice is given to you. Yeah, of course, the choice is always there. I'm going to go climb Ayers Rock tomorrow.
Yeah.
What have you?
Anyone can do what they want.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think a point of interest for me is how it came about for you. So it was like, did you ask anybody?
Yeah, I had a intent, I guess. I wanted to go to Peru at some stage. I didn't know when that was going to be, but
Intent.
Maybe that was all it took. Just putting that intent out to the
universe.
Into the universe. But I told the story once, I think in the second podcast, about when I was in New York and I stumbled into that art gallery and Alex Gray was there, and Pablo Maringo as well, another famous Peruvian shaman who was an
artist as well.
Artist, yep. And he was exhibiting with Alex Gray. Anyway, there's a guy named Nick Gabriel. It's not his real name, but he was on a podcast called London Real, and he did what's now become quite I'd have to say quite well known and quite famous podcast when he got back from his experiences last November in Peru. And
only a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. Yeah, and this video's had over 60,000 views. It's it's been quite popular because of his experiences are so amazing, really. And anyway, I found him through Facebook, and he posted a Alex Gray picture up on his Facebook wall, and I just said something like, I don't even know why I did it. I just said, I met Alex Gray once, and just whatever, probably showing off a little bit, maybe, I don't know. But we wrote a couple of things back, and then he said, listen, might be going back out to Peru again in November this year. Would you like to come? And I couldn't say no. So this, and we spoke about this again before. This is a guy who's very well known, especially in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu circles. He's got quite a good name for himself, and because of the London Real podcast that he used to be on. It's something I can't really wrap my head around, is that he's got thousands of people that he knows, and to ask me was, I I'm very, very grateful and very, very fortunate for it that I get to go and be with these 30 other people. But there's a real part of me is like wondering, wow, how lucky or how fortunate. But then there's the other part too, that it was a synchronistic event, that
Absolutely.
it is supposed to happen, dating back from the Alex Gray running, I suppose, to now. It all that and other occurrences around that time and until now have led to me going to Peru, I believe.
Certainly no coincidence, absolutely synchronistic. It would be silly to think that it was a coincidence, you know, and again, I think the point must be made that, you know, you didn't ask.
Yeah.
You know, it was offered. You know,
Sure.
no questions need to be asked. Oh, you know, questions are always there to be asked, but you can't try. You can't
Yeah.
ask. You can, but if the essence of things, and I think if maybe it's something like the more, dare I say, profound, or the more real, or the more truthful an event can be. In other words, it's addressing your soul and the greater spirit. When it is something big like that, maybe it makes sense that it has to be more synchronistic for these things to happen. You know, you can't try to be spiritual. You can be disciplined, but you have to have some kind of natural awareness or awareness that has been given to you, you know, and some kind of initiation of sorts, something like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
and can I just say,
course.
I really don't want to confuse people when we say spiritual too with that
Yes.
that old school those those people that give spirituality a bad name, really, that use it for a buck, and they're just really really fluffy about it. I think what you're describing, Ross, is that we and our group of friends that we have, we're looking at it from a really pragmatic point of view as well, but
so.
also to benefit other people, not just ourselves individually, which, you know, you get the local I don't know, like psychic that lives down the road who claims to be spiritual, but they're not really, you know.
That's
and
right.
they, unfortunately, they give the term a bad name, don't they?
That's right. And you can never really tell unless, you know, through experience, if you've seen the psychic down the street and all of a sudden you realise that it's quite a generic reading.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, of course, are genuine, some people are not.
Sure.
And I guess that comes down to your intuition and how open you are, which is a whole other story.
Being able to see through the bullshit. Yeah.
That's it. But
So yeah.
one thing that I really wanted to talk about, Ados, is that this is a trip that you are taking tomorrow within hours for a few days or a couple of weeks, and like you were saying before, 5 ceremonies over 10 days.
Yeah.
And this podcast is like a before, and I look very much forward to having the after, the before and after,
Same.
with no expectations or obligations or not too many questions and all that, because you've done a couple of ceremonies already. You're a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I'd say I'm pretty bloody nervous at the moment, Ross.
I mean, it's getting closer by the minute. You know? You're leaving
And I
soon.
don't generally get nervous. I'm quite comfortable in my own skin, and I'm quite comfortable with different situations I'm put in. But I think just understanding and again, having that respect for the medicine, the respect for the plant, it can't help but make you feel nervous. So,
are you nervous with what you're going to find out? A heal?
No,
No?
I'm not nervous about that, because I'm willing to take that on, and it's something that I've been taking on for the last 2 or 3 years. And
Right on, man.
and there's different ceremonies that we've had already that you've been a part of as well. But the nervousness comes from the not knowing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I know what's in within me, and I know what needs to be sort of cleansed, as they say, or that's there, and I know what that is. But it's the other parts that I'm not truly sort of aware of that I'm sort of nervous about. And just, it is going to be a tough experience. It's also, ayahuasca is one of those medicines where it is a very beautiful medicine as well, and you can have some great experiences on it as well.
Indeed.
But in any one ceremony, Ross, you can have moments of absolute euphoria, and you see the most incredible things you've ever seen in your life. I've seen the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life while under ayahuasca. I've also seen, not that I've seen terrible things, I've felt terrible though as well.
Yeah.
It's like that, having the
Love
worst
and fear.
love and fear, yeah. Love and maybe not hate, but yeah, love and fear definitely. But
Fear turns into hate.
It does, yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just that feeling of like the worst hangover you've ever had in your life, you know? And that can last for 10, 15 minutes, and then next minute you're back to a place of absolute beauty, and yeah, it's quite incredible.
I think with that, because the nervousness, I believe, comes from, anticipating what's going to happen. You've got a bit of experience, now you're going right in, not so much straight into the deep end, but the nervousness, I believe, comes from the fact that you will be and are heading towards a vulnerable state.
Yeah,
you've got to be vulnerable. We know this with the ceremonies, and
that's right. It leaves you totally vulnerable, doesn't it?
And therefore,
utterly
if you're vulnerable to if you are indeed utterly vulnerable to the love, you're also utterly vulnerable to the fear that we all have within us. I mean, unless you are the purest white light from the greatest consciousness.
Is that what you're saying about me, Ross? On the purest white light?
No, unless you are.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. We've certainly all got it going through us,
Sure.
But the further away we are from being pure, the more vulnerable you're going to be. Oh, hang on, I don't know about that. But anyway, look, vulnerability is about that stripping back and, allowing your good and bad, fear and love to be seen, to be healed, to be shared through your intent. Something like this.
To be shown and to be educated.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're ready for it.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying previously, you've got to be ready. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
If you're not ready, you would not have been asked. To go. It would not have been offered to you.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. And I think everyone has that same story, don't they, Ross? You do, and I know other people that we've met along this journey. Yeah. Geez, there's all these terms and these phrases. You say journey, you say spirituality, you say
automatically,
and it makes you fucking coon. And I know, and it's a shame that it's like that, because it's not
stigma.
Yeah, it's a stigma, and it's because there's been a lot of douchebags in the past that have used those terms, that have almost ruined it. But hopefully, we're not just you and I, but other people as well that we know quite well. We're trying to set that back on the right path. Anyway, the people that we met, what was I talking about on this journey about the went off on a tangent there.
That's right. Tangents are good.
Coming back from the
people on the journey. So we're talking about, I interjected by saying the vulnerability was being nervous.
Yeah.
So it's basically about how you're going to undertake 5 journeys over 10 days, and perhaps you're leading into the people you're going to meet.
Sure.
And the vulnerability comes from, stripping back and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, the nervousness that you're speaking of comes from the vulnerability. The vulnerability is the stripping back and being ready.
Yep.
You are offered this. And the amazing... How many people are you going to go with?
Yeah, there's 30 people altogether. And then there's the shamans as well. And, the healers that go with it. So...
You've been looking forward to meeting those people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, we've started up a Facebook group already that has all the members in there. So yeah, been able to get to know some of those people already. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah,
technology,
hopefully. The technology is great for that, isn't it? It's fantastic. So yeah. So, I wish I could. I'm sorry, anyone out there who's listening and went off on that bloody tangent. I can't remember what we're talking about now. But yeah, just we're talking about our friends and people that we know that have. What are we talking about?
Hang on,
reclaiming the words back.
Yeah, we were talking before that about, psychics and, charlatans.
Part of that, and on that journey,
That's right. Look,
whatever it was.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll come back, and if not, it was not meant to be.
It
is what it is.
Yeah.
The offering is there, and you're going over, which, I really look forward to hearing the story. I may have already said that, but when you come back, and what's interesting to me, quite interesting to me, is your story, which I know about how it was offered, and the last 2, 3, 4, a few years of your evolution as a spiritual being.
Hold that thought, Ross. I remember what it was now. Being ready for it.
Yeah.
Being ready for it. Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, and other people that we know, it's been a process of 2 or 3 years to get to this point as well.
Bang.
But I wouldn't have been able to do this 2 or 3 years ago. I know you wouldn't have.
No.
A lot of people that are in this now wouldn't have been able to do it. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
And what makes you ready is something like making those choices when they are there.
Sure.
Let's just say to say yes within reason, as opposed to saying no or being indifferent or apathetic towards it.
Yeah.
Not making a decision or saying no, they're all kind of negative, if not grey area. Saying yes to something reasonably good, taking that chance out of your comfort zone, I think you said.
Sure.
Means by default something like this. You're in the flow.
Mm.
You're using intuition and all these kinds of things, and a bit of advice and a bit of research, whatever. And all of a sudden, you get this offering, and that's part of your journey to where you are now and where you will be in a few days' time.
Mm.
Say on the 14th or 15th, in 3 or 4 or 5 days' time.
Yeah.
You'll be on your first journey, and that's your story. And then there's 29, 30 other people roughly.
Yeah.
That you're going to be meeting who have had a similar path, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's something I'm really looking forward to, Ross.
Absolutely.
Is finding about how everyone arrived to this point. Like, my story is so crazy to get to this point.
Crazy good.
Crazy good. And I remember thinking, my ego came into play with this, but my first ceremony, I remember thinking, it's the same sort of thing. I mean, you were, it was great, Ross. I always thank you for it. You allowed me to have my first ceremony, but the things leading up to it, and the people that we'd met, etc. I thought, really ignorantly thinking, oh, maybe I'm a bit special here, because this is meant to be for me, and there's a whole purpose to it. But then, just talking to different people after these different ceremonies, everyone has the similar story, that there's been these series of synchronistic events that have led them to doing ayahuasca, and it's incredible.
Absolutely.
It generally doesn't work out. Okay, I want to do ayahuasca. Okay, make it happen. It doesn't work that way, does it? At all.
And we actually know a couple of our friends. Well, a couple of our friends have spoken about Aya and our experiences and given us feedback on our experiences, and have approached it as in, well, look, I've done this, I've done that, I'd like to do it. And I remember one case in particular, and I said, yeah, there's a ceremony coming up. If you feel right about it, come along. And this person had something else he had committed to, and it wasn't right for him. So immediately, on one hand, this person says, I want to do one. For the right reasons or the wrong reasons, I will not judge. But I want to do one, he says. And then, but I've committed to something else and I can't do it. What are you going to choose?
Sure.
Are you going to choose yes to the ceremony, or are you not? And months and months later, 2 or 3 ceremonies have passed, and he's not interested anymore. Doesn't need it.
Which is fine too.
Absolutely. Doesn't need it, doesn't want it, not ready for it, is ready for it, doesn't matter. It is, in this case, it isn't what it is.
No.
And
it truly does come and find you when you're ready. Speaking about going back to ready, it does come and find you then. I've got no doubt about that. And just having that intent maybe out there that you want to do it, and then it will come to you when you're ready.
So it's like there's a macro and micro version of intent. Like macro version being you've been ready for it for a few years, building up for it, up towards it. Micro in terms of when you're in the journey, in that ceremony, you share your intent in the beginning. Normally, you share your intent in the beginning, and with that intent, the medicine meets. If you're ready for it.
Sure.
Intent for healing yourself or what have you.
Yeah.
And the intent, and all of a sudden, the serpent or the medicine, the plant, communicates with you. And gives you what you need. I mean, on that note, again, we've brought this up on other occasions. For me, I've done 3 or 4, I can't recall, and it's all been about healing, self-healing. First one was like, whoa, what's happening here? A lot of ego there, unnecessary ego was stripped back. And then I realised that ego is okay, a healthy amount. But the second, third, fourth has been about self-healing. And I remember you once asked me, what are your intents normally, Ross? What do they centre around, kind of thing? And mine always centre around my self-healing.
Yeah.
I can't help anyone without helping myself first.
Exactly right. It's that analogy, and I love it, and I use it maybe too often, but when the airplane's going down, make sure you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you try and help anyone else.
Exactly.
And that's so true, very, very true. And ayahuasca, with the healing that it can give you and the lessons that it gives you the ability to then go on and help those around you when maybe or perhaps you shouldn't be, if you're not quite in that right spot. You know,
the other thing too with
depending what the issue is, of course.
The other thing too with the following the flow, which means something like making those choices to say yes and the positive move forward, being proactive, is that something like this, it opens the door. You know, say Aya helped us, initiated us, or something like this in one way, and it opened a door of perception, a door to a certain realm. And because you're at that moment, just say on your first journey, you're at that moment of, wow, this door that Aya has helped me open is opening. The synchronicity just takes off. And before we use that word too much, you know, it really does take off to the point where your life, with a little bit of discipline and awareness and sharing and practice and action, will just exponentially take you to Peru, for example, and meeting 30 other people, international, you know, with you being the only Australian, I think you said. You know, that's just 2 years, 3 years, you know, you kind of started this part of your path, and you know, it's fantastic. So I was getting to the point of sharing that intent and sharing in the community like we are now, but also sharing in that journey, in that actual ceremony when you've got that 30 other people, and something happens where, yes, you're on your individual trip, but the mother, the serpent, shares itself with all of you, and the medicine is shared with you, and the shaman guides through music, which is an important part of it as well, and it all kind of comes together and takes you elsewhere, doesn't it? How important is music?
It's very important in the process, isn't it? In the ceremony and the ikaros that are sung during a ceremony, and telling the story of I guess the people individually, but also as a collective as well. It's the ikaros and the music in general is just a
soundscape.
The soundscape, the resonance that you get from that really takes you onto those parts of the journey that you need to go to, or that the medicine thinks that you need to go to, and the shaman just facilitates that. But the music is just incredible. Like we've spoke about this again before, but you know, you think of the best gig you've ever been to, you think of the best musicians you've ever seen, and do an ayahuasca ceremony, and that just doubles the ability of the shamans that run this with their musical prowess and the people around them as well. It's just incredible. But it is such a massive part of the process of the medicine, isn't it? You know,
it's almost like it's at one. It's like before we go down the rabbit
hole, can't
have
one with the other.
Exactly. Before we start itemizing and separating and identifying music versus the ceremony versus the medicine versus the shaman, which we've got to do for dialogue, of course. You can't have one without the other.
Sure.
Like you said, you know, a good shaman or a good facilitator, who feels the energy, plays the music at the right time. That starts off with a little rattle on the leaves, and you know, it starts from there and goes further. So it's something like the word creativity, emotional outlet, creativity with the medicine, with the individuals.
Sure.
It's just one thing. You know, we are one. You know, in those moments of journeying, we are one. We absolutely share that space. That space becomes a space.
Sure. And that's definitely governed by the shaman and the way he holds that ceremony, runs that ceremony. And as you know too, Ross, I mean, each shaman brings a different energy to each ceremony. You know,
indeed.
One ceremony can be very all ceremonies can be difficult, or are definitely difficult at stages, and all ceremonies also beautiful as well. But there's a scale, you know, and some will have it more of a loving, happy, I guess, ceremony, and some are like it. On the softer side, and then some of the darker, really looking into your souls. And I guess when I say I'm nervous, I know Ron Wheelock, who I'm going to be doing the ceremony with, he's the kind of shaman who he's regarded as having the strongest brew in the Amazon, and other shamans actually go to him to get their brew as well.
Yeah.
That's how well known he is. But he's a type of shaman who, it's not like a lovey-dovey. It's like he'll take it. Apparently in the last one, Nick Gabriel said, "I'm here. I'm going to take you to hell, and I'm going to bring you right back again." And that's what he does.
That's shaman for you. Shaman 101. Underworld and back.
Yeah. And he's responsible for really dredging out a lot of the darkness that's within you as an individual and as a collective, and purging that. And a lot of other shamans would handle it differently. There's no right or wrong, but just from what I understand of the way he runs his ceremony through My Heart of Darkness podcast, I understand I'm going to be in for a torturous time.
My Heart of Darkness. So that's the documentary.
No, that's the podcast.
Okay.
That's the London Real podcast.
Okay.
So Awakenings was the other one. Yeah.
Okay.
If you get a chance, Ross, I've been trying to get you to watch it for like a year. Actually, it's almost a year. I think they filmed it.
Out on things.
Yeah, it's just amazing. You have a better understanding then of what I'll be going through, I guess, and it's sort of helped prepare me at least anyway. And I think the fact also, that we've had a few ceremonies now, it sort of helps as well. But can never take away from that respect that must be given to the medicine and the nervousness that comes with that.
Yeah, and the respect also on the other side of the coin, that you are there.
Yeah.
And you are there and given the choice to have that respect for the medicine.
Sure.
You can't just theorise about it from afar.
Yeah.
You're there. So respect to you as well, and for the moment. For the moment, it's happening.
That's a big thing as well. That's why I almost feel like, and I mean this in the most non-egotistical way possible, I feel like there's almost a bit of a responsibility for me to tell my story as well, because I've been so fortunate to have been given this opportunity and to just, and over the last 3 or 4 years especially, meeting different people, but then over the last 6 months actually partaking in some of these ceremonies. It's just very fortunate, and the things I've learned and the things that I've been able to heal within myself, I guess, I just feel, and I know you feel the same too, Ross, like just this responsibility that we should help share. We'll share that, like share the story. I don't know how to describe it.
Well,
because
how about we turn that into Daniel Christos and his idea. Not that we're going to talk about his idea, but his idea of sharing.
Sure. That'll come up in a following podcast too.
G'day, Daniel.
Yeah.
But we without going into the detail, because that's for him to tell. What a wonderful idea! But that's about sharing too, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. With a teaching system set up or tutorial system set up that is a cooperative, and
the people who are going to be a part of that cooperative are going to be, like you're saying, feel a responsibility, perhaps. To pass on that knowledge.
Exactly right. That's the people he's looking at getting and using for that to be the teachers, is doing it for more of an altruistic purpose rather than just to get a bit of income or whatever.
That's right,
So he's looking at it from the right way. He's onto a winner, I think, with that idea. Yeah.
I mean, I've said before that you get information by observing. Data, and then data turns into information turns into knowledge, and when shared, it turns into wisdom.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's true, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
It's logic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just Newtonian almost, cause and effect.
Sure.
One thing leads to another. There's different stages as well along the way. But another thing, I want to go back, Adrian, to your trip, mate. I'm not sure what I want to ask, but it's something like, and yes, we've established that you're going to be a bit nervous or whatever, but more so vulnerable.
Going to be.
Yeah, well,
I'm thinking there.
Yeah.
Just what I'm worried about though.
Yeah.
Dad joke.
Yeah, right.
Sorry about that, everyone. Anyway.
All good.
Continue, Ross.
So you're going to be over there. You're as prepared as you want to be.
Yeah.
Packing and all that kind of underway. Blah blah blah. You've got your hiking boots and stuff like this. You're going to be meeting some wonderful people. And then all of a sudden you're going to have 10 days of I can only imagine that. Imagine, that's a good word. I can only imagine that 5 journeys. Like really, one journey. I've only ever had one journey at a time.
At a time.
So 1, a day off. to integrate and to reflect and write notes.
Yeah.
Another one, another one, another one, and another one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we know that what's the word? Dieta.
Dieta. Yeah.
You know, can go for weeks, if not months at a time.
Yeah.
And we know people who have done that and are doing that.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, you know, I don't want to philosophize it too much, but it begs the question, if medicine is there to heal and you're going for 10 days, 10 journeys, longer, you've either got a lot of shit to sort out,
Yeah.
or something happens after the healing. And that's what I reckon that's what I'm really interested to hear.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, because
I think that's what I really want to crack is this, and I think this is the opportunity that I'll be given the strength of the ayahuasca. Is like, I've had 3 ceremonies. The first 2 I'd say were more about my understanding of the universe and also my place in it, and the third one was a real start. It was real reading of different energies that I didn't need, and I think what I'm hoping for, I mean, I'm not going in with any expectations,
Definitely
but
not.
what I'm sort of thinking may happen is that the first couple of ceremonies in Peru are going to be, again, about stripping those energies back, which is going to be a very, very hard thing to do. It's very, the word can even be traumatic, really. But I'm hoping that it'll get to stage, and what I've heard from other people who've undertaken a similar thing is by the 4th and 5th ceremonies, that's where the lessons do come into place.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to get that stage. If it doesn't happen that way, then that's fine too.
No, it will.
Hopefully it does,
Well,
yeah, but I don't know.
I think what's going to happen is, whether it's, I almost answered my own question, and you've helped there as well, whether it's a 5 journey cycle, or a diet of 2 months, the medicine remains the same.
Yeah.
And your readiness remains the same, so therefore it's always going to be perfect, isn't it?
Well, it'll be as it's meant to be,
Yeah,
at
exactly.
least anyway.
Yeah. Without getting too airy-fairy about it, it's
Yeah.
absolutely exactly that.
Sure.
Far out, yeah. So you got to be writing notes, right?
Yeah.
Not the morning after and that kind of stuff. I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear about what your dreams are like, because
Sure.
you know, just the processing and how, in
Yeah.
fact, the dreams leading up to it, like
Yeah.
to now, and then the dreams through it, the dreams
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing. I don't know if it's really affected my dreams in the past. How about yours? Is it
wow.
before and after a ceremony? Is it really? I actually can't even remember dreaming.
Well, this little
After sleep.
red book here goes back 2 years, almost to the day and month, and it's a dream journal amongst other things.
How much is it worth, Ross? How much
is it
could I
worth?
sell that for
Priceless,
on the black
my friend.
market?
Priceless. But my dreams change
Yeah.
noticeably after a certain period of time. So like I had the journey, and a certain period of time after, when I've had time to integrate back into work and all those things, that the dreams do change for the better, should I say. Let's say at the very least more lucid.
Sure.
Then it tends to taper off, which is where practice, discipline, motivation comes in.
Yeah.
From you know, whatever source.
Yeah.
As in, I need to be disciplined with the actions that I choose to make after a journey.
That's the integration.
That's right.
Which
yeah.
I think is something we should have a chat about as well.
Yeah,
But
I've been a bit slack in the past.
yeah.
Well, not slack, but whatever.
Yeah.
Ill-disciplined.
I remember before going into it, and people would say, "Be kind to yourself after your first ceremony, and the integration is the most important part." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool," but it really is. It really is so important. Is that and like I was knocked for 6. Those who are watching this who spent any time with me for 2 or 3 weeks after the first ceremony, I was nowhere near myself. I was still somewhere else for a period of time, while I was still trying to integrate. And that's all part of the lesson, though, isn't it, Ross? That's
Absolutely.
still all part of the experience and part of the learning. And you get taken to an indescribable realm full of love and beauty and just unimaginable love. And there's no way you can possibly come back to that straight away. It just doesn't work that way. So sometimes it might be a day that you can reintegrate. That first one I think was quite profound for myself, at least. So it took me about 2 or 3 weeks. But the integration is just a massive part of you know, it's all well and good to get lessons during it and showing different aspects of your life that you need to look at. But it's up to you, Ross, isn't it, to then follow through and do something about it.
I believe I'm a little bit lacking in discipline with meditation, for example. And what I'm touching on here is that with a journey and a ceremony, you're taken to an indescribable, like you say, place, realm, which just love, fear, and light and darkness, and all these wonderful things, whatever you need to be healed, let's say at the least. It's a non-physical realm.
Sure.
Meditation is a non-physical realm. Dreaming is a non-physical realm. Astral projection and so on and so forth. A bit of a middle ground would be meditation, and at some other end of the spectrum is dreaming. You know, because it's there's ways that you can lucid dream and all that kind of stuff, but it's a little bit too much right now. Maybe when you come back as part of your integration, and this is what I'll be doing. I've got a ceremony as well, just a one-day ceremony this Friday, which almost coincides with one of Adrian's,
which is fantastic.
That's going to be interesting. We'll share notes on that date. But
you have to come and join me on some cosmic plane, Ross.
Well, that's right.
Somewhere, come to the Amazon with me and we can meet up.
Well, we could even
cosmic plane.
We could even organise a time in between one of your journeys, a couple of your journeys.
Yeah.
And after mine, where I could meditate, you could meditate.
Yeah, we'll do the same too.
Like, just call it within half an hour.
Because I know when yours will be. Like, I know sort of what time on Friday night. So that would be.
What'll be about
earlier in the morning? That'll be Friday morning for me. Yeah. So I'll definitely do that, man.
But I'm thinking after the journeys, like in between, after my journey.
Okay, sure.
Like the next day, kind of thing.
Yep.
And in between two of yours.
Yeah.
So that we can, have time to meditate about that and meet up on the cosmos. The cosmos. Because in the journey, of course, who knows where we're going to go.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking what I'm going to do as part of my integration this time, which is the first, is start to meditate again a bit more. And because, like I was saying before, they're non-physical realms, meditation, dreaming, the journeys. And because it's similar with dreaming, if you wake up in a dream, from a dream, and you're starting to forget, every moment that you start to think about what happened, you start to forget. And you've actually got to close your eyes and be empty, and the answers from the processing from the dream, the answers come.
Yeah.
Now, with integration and Aya journeys, it's going to be something very similar but more powerful.
Sure.
So that's it.
It's just a lot deeper, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to meditate quite regularly, hopefully at least once a day after my ceremony, and that's going to be part of my integration. And to be creative.
Yeah.
To keep playing the didgeridoo.
Sure.
Which I've only been playing for 3 months, but I'm so happy. And I've said it to you before. I know,
it's fantastic.
I'm very proud of it. And of myself. Yes. I've got to be proud of myself here, and be creative with some kind of musical instrument. That's as simple as I'm taking it.
Sure.
As complicated as I'm taking
it. And that's fine then. That's all you really need to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the lessons obviously come during the ceremony and while you're under the influence of ayahuasca as well.
Absolutely.
A good portion of them, but there are things that continue to come up. And again, our good friend Daniel has said that even for him, he had his first experience about 2 years ago, and he still has times now where like, something will come to him, and that's a great thing about it. It's a continuous tool, I guess. It doesn't leave you, like it's always with you. It's non-linear. It brings time into a non-linear format, and allows different teachings to take place, with that. Again, like, I know some of what we're saying is a little bit out there, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to make excuses for it, but
it's all exactly true.
It's our truth as we know it, as Ross and I know it, and we're only speaking from our experience. So I was definitely, maybe to quantify this a bit, I was definitely one of those people 3 or 4 years ago who was always open-minded, but would never really have believed too greatly about anything that I'm saying right now, I don't think.
I mean, we haven't even gone into the nitty-gritty of some of our experiences, what we've seen and what we've experienced.
Well, that's it. I mean, the things that we've seen and things that we've experienced, how can we personally not now realise that there is more there is more to this world than what we see in the materialistic aspect of it. Like, there is more than just what we can see and hear and touch.
The non-tangible things.
Yeah, you're shown that with ayahuasca, and you know, maybe I'll just speak a little bit about that first ceremony
Absolutely,
that I had, and I'd like to hear yours too. But you know, I'm sure most people out there living in Australia, especially, have heard of the rainbow serpent, and I definitely had experience in my first ayahuasca experience where I was meditating, and I was in that space, and I'd been through sort of different fractal tunnels, and quite beautiful it was. And then
like the Alex Gray, and
yeah, very similar to the Alex Gray sort of tryptamine experience, is very similar to that. And all of a sudden this rainbow serpent started swimming towards me, and had this shoebox shape size head and like a portrait angle, and had these tentacles that are about, I don't know, 30 centimeters long. There's about 20 of them coming from the front, and they were squiggling around, and had this huge rainbow tail coming out the back of it into like just going for eternity, it seemed. And it started swimming towards my heart, and I was just like, oh wow, what's going on here? I mean, I've heard of these occurrences, you know, where an actual entity integrates with you, and that's usually what occurs, and it will take you to some place. And it took me to another realm, which I might not get into in this podcast, but it took me to another realm. And the music though tied in with that whole experience, but
yes,
it also made me realize there was more. That one occurrence at the beginning of the ceremony made me realize there is more to this. There's definitely more to all this, and it's quite profound, and it's quite educational as well. Yeah. But you know, we were speaking about it before, the shaman that we had,
yes,
dictating sort of the music dictating the experiences, and you know, how that works out. So,
and how he feels the energy of the group,
and what he feels is needed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember him saying, somebody called out saying, "Shaman, can I sing now?" And I felt at that time, I just thought, no, please, no. And he goes, "Not now."
Yeah.
And it was just, and I could the communal sigh.
Yeah. Sure.
It was just too much for that particular person to give their offering.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's like this non-linear thing. The shaman would dictate through music where we were, but also somehow, in some strange way, a non-linear way, we would also, or I could speak for myself, anticipate what he was going to say.
Yeah.
And anticipate, I was predicting the future almost.
Yeah.
With
that's what it
other
felt
instruments.
like.
Yeah. And all in this continual moment. Now, and now.
Yeah.
And for a certain period of time, it was that fucking intense with non-linear moments where I was seeing the future, and it would happen, and then it would be in the past, but then the past would come back to it was just all over the place, but it made so much sense, which of course I'm not giving justice to it now, but if you can imagine, for those of you who haven't tried it, such illogical sayings as the past was the future, and the future was the past, and the present, and all that rubbish, and to just imagine with that beautiful mind of yours that you could actually experience this, and it be the most fearful but also the most loving experience of your life, to the point where it's giving you all the healing that you'd ever needed. In a colourful and dark, lonely but sharing moment with something that is not just not untangible but tangible. In that moment it becomes tangible. It, you know, you do feel like my fingers were crying, you know, and people were crying, and people were purging, and it's somehow this interaction between, let's just say, the non-physical and the physical. But for it to make us purge and cry from our fingers and hear, of course, and go to another realm, it's obviously having an effect. And it's not just the medicine,
Sure.
because if you're not ready for it, you're not going to be shown it.
Yeah.
So in the similar way to the non-linear, or the linear becomes non-linear, the non-tangible becomes tangible. And there's this wonderful interface of a merging of physics and ideas,
Sure.
to the point where you can't fucking identify it anymore. There's no identification, there's no label, there's therefore no stigma. And if you release all of that through being vulnerable and accepting the fact that you need some fucking healing or just some love, even if you don't need to be healed, if you just accept
Or
these
education.
things, or education,
Yeah.
all of the above.
Yeah.
If you're there in that moment, all this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like Adrian was on his first ceremony with me, on my second, you get to the point where at the end of it, you know, and I remember it vividly, you're writing in your book, we spoke about this recently, and you turn around and I'm there in my own little, whoa, what's going on? I'm still journeying quite deeply.
Yeah, it was before the closing of the ceremony,
That's
wasn't
right.
it? So it was still under the
Yeah.
influence, but we're in a part of the ceremony that was quite beautiful, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you turned around and I was there, and I managed to muster this heartfelt smile of love and joy that my brother, you know, Aya was introduced through me to him, and it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, you came over and you know, we stood up, well, I stood up, and hand on each other's hearts and embraced, big loving hug, and you said it. You said, Ross, I had no idea, man. And it was just like, I know, man.
Yeah.
I know, just I know.
Yeah.
And it was fucking intense.
It was quite an incredible moment.
Way intense.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest moments, and we weren't supposed to actually really talk or even communicate with other people, but that was a moment in time that you know it was supposed to happen. So
Great.
But yeah, then we just turned back around. We went back our own way.
Yeah.
But what you just before you were talking about, you know, where time and becomes jumbled. What it allows is you really are just in the present. You aren't thinking about the future. You're just thinking about those experiences that are happening to you at that moment.
They don't matter.
Because nothing else matters. And whether it's like you could be having the most amazing, beautiful experience where you're seeing the most incredible things you've ever seen in your life, or you're down into the deepest part of your psyche and you're battling that, you feel just nauseated, and you just feel like the worst hangover you've had in your life, ever had in your life. But the whole time you're in the present. There's you're in that point in time, and that does not shift at all. No. And I think that allows for that ego dissolution.
I like that.
Yeah.
It does not shift at all.
It doesn't shift at all. You're moving along. The shaman moves the ceremony along at his pace, guided by the music, guided by the Icaros, and you don't fluctuate from that. You might be taken to different spaces, and you know, you might even be taken to abstract different points in time, but what you're focusing on, you're not focusing about anything else in this world apart from that present moment. It's just that moment. You're not worried about what you're gonna have for dinner the next day, or someone cut in front of you in a car the day before. You know, you're not thinking about any of that. You just brought it to the present.
Don't fight it.
Yeah, and that's where the lessons come in.
Allow it.
Yeah, and just allowing that through there. So
yes, it's like that shaman said at the end, the next day. Sorry, sharing and inspirational. And he said something. I've got it written down, but I think I can remember it from memory. The mind, something like this. The mind does not control the heart. The heart is the vehicle, and the mind is its tool.
Yeah.
The mind does the bidding of the heart, not the other fucking way around.
Yeah.
And also with that, choose your enemies wisely, because what you fight, you become. And if you're fighting in that continual moment in the ceremony, if you're fighting and trying to think about the past and thinking about the future, thinking, you're actually fighting the moment and the feeling.
Sure.
And if you accept and allow that, then, well,
Yeah.
you're halfway there, and then let the healing and love and happiness begin.
But yeah, if you do try and fight it, there's no getting around it. Mother Ayahuasca will just keep beating it into you and it'll make it harder and harder for you. So it is that aspect of letting go.
You know what?
Just letting go inside the experience.
You know, for the last 2 ceremonies I've done, I've fought something. That something being a big purge. I've fought it. I don't think I've said this before to you, but I've held back. I actually walked out of the sacred space and purged outside.
Yeah.
And half the idea is to purge with thy fellow travellers and journey people, and to purge there. But I was a bit afraid, actually, fearful, because I knew it was going to be big.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
Really, really, really big.
Because it's not just a little like vomit, like you've had something bad. It's not like a blah.
Don't hold back.
It's from the absolute pits of your stomach, pits of your soul. The purging. Yeah, it's like a vomit, I guess. That like you've never had before.
A spiritual vomit.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just bringing up a physical body. It's a spiritual body as well, because you're in a spiritual moment.
Well, on that, there was a one of the podcasts that Nick had done since the My Heart of Darkness podcast. He did a podcast with the guys from LA Real, and he spoke about a friend of his who, during the ceremony, he felt he had like this black bug stuck to his chest, and like just covering his chest. And he knew the only way he could get rid of it was by vomiting, and that bug was like this energy to do with his relationship with his dad. And he intrinsically knew the only way to get rid of it was by purging, and he couldn't do it. But apparently he had all these little alien creatures around him, like encouraging him, like, come on, you can do it, come on, vomit, do it. And then he finally did it, and apparently it was like just the from the pits of hell, this vomit came up.
Purge for the ages.
The purge for the ages, yeah. So that was that. It really was a spiritual vomit, I guess. That was a
It's certainly a bloody tool, isn't it? It reminds me of what you once said to me, that Icaros are from other humanoid beings.
Yeah, they're alien in origin.
Yeah. And
they're not from this planet.
And I'm sure you've heard it, but I've definitely heard from other people who have journeyed with Aya that aliens are there present.
Yeah.
And whether they're little ones or one single alien confronting you, or mirroring.
Do you mean grey aliens, like the stereo? But
yeah.
Okay.
Apparently,
I haven't heard that. I've
heard
it with DMT experiences.
Yeah, a grey alien. The almond eyes.
Yeah.
Whether it's got a tinge of green or not, the greens are probably the more reptilian. I was going to say aliens. But the greys, and doing healing as well.
Yeah, right.
On people, going into their bodies and taking out some shit, or showing them,
Okay.
And I guess that comes down to, in fact, I dare say, I know that comes down to what you are willing to accept as a common form of communication.
Sure.
Do you gel or bond with a serpent?
Yeah.
Or an alien?
That's right.
Or a pattern?
Yeah.
Or a sound?
It could be in some form that we just got no concept of at all. And like with my rainbow serpent, or if these experiences you've had, or if whether it's an alien or whatever it might be, that's your filter, I guess.
Yeah.
Placing
it is a filter.
Placing a construct to something that we've got no ability at all to be able to comprehend. And maybe that's a possibility, or maybe that is the true nature of the things that we see. Possibly as well. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Well, so much has come up in my mind right now. It's too much to put into words. It's brought it back. I feel like I've not just had a journey, but I feel I'm there, and it's just so interesting. You start with intent, macro, micro, long term, short term, the experience, non-linear, non-physical. It's all one, a continual moment. I like that. A perpetual moment.
Yeah.
And then a sharing at the end, which leads into integration, which leads to change and evolution, and then to the next journey.
Sure.
Whether it be Aya or any other, like we said before,
different plant teachers.
Different plant teachers. Organic. What do you think about other non-organic substances. I mean, these things are recreational.
Yeah.
There's no real. I mean, we've talked about that in previous podcasts, I guess. But I'm really heading towards looking after myself through eating better and exercising and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Even though I'm still smoking cigarettes, which I'm addressing. But I'm starting to lead towards purely plant medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not. I don't think either of us begrudge anyone who wants to use any other substances, and that can be fun as well.
Myself,
yeah, exactly. But I think as far as actually progressing and learning, then
Tell me what you
plant
think
medicines are there.
Tell me what you think the difference is between a laboratory made, constructed, processed substance
Yeah.
compared to ayahuasca.
Yeah, I guess just the naturality of it. It's just not as natural, is it? And also, you don't
There's
know.
no ethical problem there, is there?
Maybe not, but you don't know what you're getting, do you?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff gets cut with, bicarbonate soda or laundry detergent or whatever. So
Processed food. And there's some research out there that it kind of doesn't help you. The more processed the food is, the less organic, and the more harm it's doing to people long term. Cancer and all sorts of stuff. Can we parallel that to medicine?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I
Haven't
guess
really
so.
thought about it.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Well,
Causing some sort of damage that natural medicines, natural drugs wouldn't. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
As processed food increases the chances of cancer, does processed psychedelics and substances and medicine increase the chance of a different type of cancer? Cancer is just a word, remember. So not necessarily a cancer of the physical body, but maybe a cancer of the spiritual body, the energy body.
Quite possibly.
In fact, it's logical. Not everything is logical though on the holistic plane.
Sure.
But that's food for thought as well.
Yeah. That's something we can maybe talk about in another podcast too. I think it's quite an interesting topic. I know a lot of people that we're friends with have their beliefs on that, and it's interesting to get different opinions on that. Let's. What do we need to maybe talk about? Maybe.
Well, I still feel like we haven't done your little trip justice. I mean, we've talked about a bit of the itinerary, I guess, but
I guess I can have a talk about what we do there. We're doing the 5 ayahuasca ceremonies, but we're also doing different healing ceremonies as well, and making up some chapakas ourselves, which are the leaf rattle. Yeah, do you want to give us a bit, Ross? You're good at doing that.
And it's a little bit more scratchy, and we've said it before, but it feels like to me, it's because it starts off with what is it? Shakapa. So the ceremony, you'll ingest it normally, and half an hour by the time it gets around the rest of the circle, as then everyone else has had their first cup measure, then they will start, and it's so simple, and so almost quiet. I mean, if you were straight and just shake, it's like some leaves, dead leaves are rustling in the branch, but when you're there in that moment, it really, for me, it's like a scratching of the soul.
It's very grating. I find it very grating, and this resonance that you wouldn't believe. That's a good point, Ross. If you just heard it normally without the medicine, you wouldn't even think about it. But it's just this. And even doing it now, I'm like, it gives me goosebumps,
But I'm visualizing a shaman with a silhouette and just this.
Yeah.
And you don't see anything but this.
And when you hear that, you know that it's on. It's going to start. I think the difference with I'm doing it with this guy, the shaman Ron Wheelock, is that he doesn't do so much of the singing, and it's more of like real deep resonance in his voice. Like he'll be like, ayahuasca, like really deep, and he'll use drums and real deep resonance. So that it takes you to like a baser
Deeper
resonance within your soul, and that's how it guides you through. So whereas some ceremonies that we've been to have been quite
light,
yeah, which is great too. This is a little bit different. I think that's where my nervousness comes into as well, like that whole,
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
That's what he does. Yeah.
So is he going to do that for the whole 5 ceremonies?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I mean, he might change it around depending.
Maybe
on
towards the end it'll be a bit more uplifting.
Yeah, maybe. I think so. Yeah, just in that initial, try and get everyone there.
Yeah.
I say there in quotation marks. That he'll be that take into that deeper realm, I suppose. Yeah, within each and every one of us.
Because as the voice is high, deeper. So you're going from high to low through vibration and sound, which is also matched and paralleled by your energy body.
Yeah, your biorhythms. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it gets in tune with those different energies within your body. So
I'm learning here. This is good.
Yeah. So and then shamans, of course, then have the ability to take it wherever they want. So they can do that throughout the ceremony.
With this integration thing, you were speaking a little time ago in this podcast about, or we were talking about integrating, and something was said like non-tangible and tangible, and dream state, non-dream state. All this kind of stuff. Do you think for me, I believe it's a goal to make the unseen seen. As in, what we see in our dream state and our meditations and journeys, which we don't see in the straight world, I want to bring that to the straight world.
Sure.
I want to see that. I'm going to see it. In fact, we get glimpses every now and then. We get glimpses through our stomach. Okay, it's not a visual, but it's halfway there. It's that middle ground. The intuition, the gut feeling, the heart feeling, the intuition is the middle ground between the physical and the unseen. And I think I feel that the more practice you do, and the more journeys within reason, whatever else happens, you're going to start seeing things. And this is where people become more in tune with the flow. This is where people become, I fucking hate labels, but this is where people become more psychic, which is just in the flow. People become more healing, which is just being more in the flow in relation to them, so on and so forth. And you can see things, seers, psychic I guess, but I mean, I've seen things. I've seen shadows and light shadows. I've seen sparks and little flashes. Without going into all those things, whether they're right or wrong, I think that there's a filter that we can get rid of and replace it with some other kind of filter. That filter not being a filter, that filter being a window. These eyes are gateways to the soul. So as you can see into my soul in person, why can't I see into the soul of the universe with these same windows? We're just filtering them with our Western rubbish.
Yeah, we've been preconditioned and have been placed upon us. Yeah, exactly.
So why can't these eyes see what we see in our dreams? Why can't these eyes see what we see in our journeys? And why can't this heart learn and love what we learn and love in the journeys? I mean, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to be in years to come, or in moments to come.
Yeah.
I want to be true to myself, love myself and not doubt, which I've got a lot of doubt at the moment, unfortunately, and bring that shit, that good stuff, to this moment.
Yeah.
And see it.
But maybe, Ross, so it's not part of the human experience either. Well, maybe we're not meant to. Maybe we're not meant to see all that. And
in this life,
but we are given the opportunity through different medicines to be able to do that.
Yeah. But to be aware of it.
To be aware of it and to actually see it. But maybe in general we're not supposed to. Well, not that we're supposed to, but
some of us aren't. Some of us aren't.
Yeah, but what dictates that though as well? I mean, that's another question. Why have I been given the opportunity to do this? Is it even worth thinking about? It's probably not. Really.
I'd go as far as saying because of the choices you've made.
Maybe, but it also can just come down to where you were born as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't as fortunate enough to be born, in Perth, Australia, in a relatively well-off Western society, and
to be given these wonderful opportunities.
Yeah, so it is. It's definitely a great thing, to be able to experience and to do. But yeah, sometimes I wonder if we were sort of meant to, or maybe, like you said, it's been. Oh, and I believe this too. That it has been. We have had extra filters placed upon us, extra conditioning. Too many. Yep. From the societal structure that we have, and things like ayahuasca, mushrooms are able to break those down again, break them away. So you can see, resetting. So you can see the truth.
Yeah.
Again, in quotations.
As you said, your truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And before we trivialise it, there's too many maybes and too many possibilities, and the only possibility that counts is yours and the one that you're in at this moment. So, make those decisions that you're happy with.
Yeah, living in the present is the big thing with that, isn't it? Making decisions in the present.
Yeah. And I mean, you could be fooled for thinking that I'm speaking of what you guys should do, but lest I forget, it's what I should do.
Yeah, it's up to the individual, isn't it?
I hear myself speaking now and realise, what the fuck are you on about, Ross? Because I don't make those decisions, not as often as I would like.
Yeah.
And that comes from my doubt, which is from a past of not making the decisions.
Yeah, sure.
Those positive ones and being proactive.
Yeah.
So maybe that should be my intent.
Yeah,
the
sure.
ceremony coming up in 4-5 days time.
Yeah, and something to then integrate in after that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's my intention is going to be something like self-healing, strengthen my connection, or reacquaint my connection with the higher self, my higher self, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and through that healing myself. Because that by default it happens when you are reconnected with the greater source, you're naturally healed, and to focus on integration through meditation.
Sure.
I was just going to start a rhyme then, but yeah, there you go. So on that note, this is a real tangent. There's a guy called Nahko, Nahko, and Hawaiian, I believe. And a great musician, so look him up. He's fantastic.
Quite amazing, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's his last name? Nahko.
I don't know, but Nahko Bear.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's his real name, of course, but look him up. And Great Spirit is a great song.
Yeah.
And I think it's another one called Aloha. I'm not sure, but I'm just thinking of rhymes, and one of his songs popped into my head. He's certainly a brother.
So yeah, I think we might wrap up there, Ross.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Yeah. I think going to be flying out in the next 9 hours, 10 hours.
Yeah.
Better go get some sleep, I guess. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting next couple of weeks, and really looking forward to sharing the experiences with you, and when I get back, and
come back, mate.
obviously hearing about yours as well when we get here. But it's going to be one of those things that I'll definitely very much value your support, and other friends that are out there watching this as well have given really tremendous support to myself. It's greatly appreciated, very much appreciated. So yeah, we'll have to see how I am when I get back, I suppose.
Yeah, when you're ready. I'd love to see the difference, with no expectations, of course.
No.
And some stories, man, and these wonderful people you're going to meet.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
I think that, again, that's a big thing. Is just these other people as well. It's going to be a big part of it. I think I'll be missing out on a aspect of the whole experience if I didn't really get to understand the other people, because we've obviously been brought there together at the same time for a reason. There's a reason behind it. Yeah. Like any ceremony you do, or anything you do in life, when there's a collective of people that come together, it's generally for a reason. There is a reason and a rhyme and reason behind it.
Absolutely,
I believe.
Absolutely. So yeah, in wrapping up, exactly. Looking forward to you coming back and hearing some stories and hearing about the sharings you've had with these people. And as you were talking, again, it hit me the imminence of it all. It is imminent. It's here now. The journey started when we were born and all that kind of stuff, I guess. Sure. That's arguable and philosophical, I guess, but it's tangible.
Yeah.
We speak of it now.
Yeah.
In 2 days, 3 days, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Lima knocking on the door of fucking goddamn
Iquitos. Yeah.
You know, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, in 3 days' time, I'll be halfway through the working week, doing what I do. Yay! And looking forward to my single ceremony. But yeah, looking forward to extend the stories, mate. You know, good on you for finding yourself in this position.
Yeah, and again, I just can't help but think how incredibly fortunate I am, though, as well. And I will never ever, I don't know. What am I trying to say, Ross?
Expect or oblige or...
Yeah, to devalue the whole thing, you know? Yeah.
You know, I mean, what are you trying to say is not too much at all.
Yeah.
As in, we've spoken, and, you know, there's a big sigh coming.
Yeah.
You know, like a really big sigh. And you're going to get that continuously for 10 days, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Should be.
Yeah, it will be.
Don't know really what to say about it now.
One, to all those who have gone before us and who come after us, and especially you in this case, going over there. There it is.
Alright.
I might close a little bit of ditch, Ados.
Yeah.
This one goes out to all those frequencies that can hear it and feel it.
Yeah, so I think that's it, eh? Anything you want to add?
No.
Yeah. And
safe travels, brother.
Yeah.
And see you when you get back.
Yeah, you will do. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be unfine and then fine, unfine and fine. You'll come back fine.
No. Yeah. This is the way I'll go about it. Yeah. No, I'll be fine. Definitely. I know I'm going to be amongst a great group of people, so that's going to be a big thing as well. You know, very important thing. So, yeah. So, to all those out there watching, and
to those who aren't.
And to those who aren't, yeah, in some weird way. Yeah. Thanks very much, and yeah, I don't know. It's something. I just feel like there's something else I want to add. I don't know what it is though, but
I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it feels like there's something a little bit left unsaid, but maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. But again, on behalf of myself and Ross as well, just thanks very much for the support, and for myself especially with the support I've had from loved ones. Going into this in the next few days, it's again just greatly appreciated, and I'm very thankful for. So thank you. What do you think, Ross?
That's it, mate.
Wrap up. All right. We'll do another podcast when I get back, and we'll have a follow-up one. Yeah, in a few weeks' time.
Maybe get Christos in, see how you feel.
Yeah, see how we go with that, and work out from there, and be able to explain a bit better the whole journey of it, I guess. So yeah,
bring it on.
We'll do that. So, but yeah, and until then, we'll see you next time.
Are you going to take a little camera over? Phone?
No. I'll take my phone with me, I think. Whether I use it or not.
You can feel that was a little bit flat at times.
Yeah, it's just something I was a bit tired as well.
My eyes are getting dry from my contacts.
Yeah. Well, I think we do well. At least it sounds a lot better than the last one.
Yeah.
A lot clearer too. A lot more concise.